Every day, millions of decisions shape the economy. These choices might seem small, yet together they push prices up or down. That constant movement is what's described as inflation. But what forces truly drive prices? How does inflation evolve over time, and why is it often perceived as higher than it actually is? What is inflation? Inflation is the sustained increase in the general price level of an economy. It's not just a single product becoming more expensive, it's many rising at the same time. When prices go up while income stays the same, money loses purchasing power. That means people can afford less, even if their income hasn't changed. This drives up the cost of living and affects everyday decisions, from groceries to rent to transportation. In economics, two central forms of inflation are distinguished. First, cost-push inflation. Cost-push inflation occurs when rising costs for companies are passed on to consumers. Common causes include rising raw material costs. Shortages, natural disasters, or political actions can drive up the cost of essentials. Oil is a classic example. Higher oil prices increase costs for transport, heating, and industrial production, affecting sectors like automotive manufacturing. Labor costs. High demand for workers or expectations of rising prices can push wages up, increasing overall costs. Currency devaluation. If the national currency falls, more money is needed to buy goods from abroad, which increases the cost of imported products. Taxes. Increases in VAT or other levies are often passed on to customers, which is reflected in higher prices. Second, demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation occurs when demand exceeds supply. A clear example was the surge in masks at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Millions wanted masks, but production was limited. Prices rose sharply because demand outpaced supply. Factors driving demand pull inflation include monetary policy. Lower interest rates make borrowing easier and increase consumer spending. If demand rises disproportionately compared to supply, inflation increases. Government spending. Higher investments and consumption increase the money circulating in the economy. Tax cuts can increase disposable income and boost demand. Consumer confidence. Optimism about jobs and the economy encourages spending rather than saving. Export growth. Money flowing in from abroad raises domestic demand. In short, cost-push inflation comes from rising production and business costs, while demand-pull inflation stems from excess money and rising demand in the face of limited supply. How has inflation changed over the past decades, and what patterns appear in its rises and falls? Over the last 6 decades, inflation has moved in waves, periods of calm, moments of crisis, and stretches of stability. In the early 1960s, inflation was almost an afterthought, low, predictable, steady. But the 1970s brought a shock that reshaped global economies. Oil prices soared, supply chains fractured, and inflation surged across nations, one of the most powerful waves in history. The 1980s brought a response. Central banks implemented tough, often painful measures. Slowly, inflation fell. Stability returned for many years, though some countries like China faced turbulence during transitions. Globally, a period of comparatively low inflation took hold. Then came the early 2020s. A pandemic, disrupted trade routes, and rising energy costs pushed prices up again. Inflation reached levels unseen in decades, higher than the 1990s or 2000s, yet still far below the peaks of the 1970s. So why is it such a hot topic today? The answer lies in several unusual developments happening at once, pushing prices up faster than seen in decades. Sudden surges after long stability. For nearly 20 years, inflation hovered around 1 to 2% in many countries. Suddenly, prices jumped 5 to 10% or more. Groceries, rent, energy, and services all became noticeably more expensive. Pandemic disruptions. COVID-19 slowed production, broke supply chains, increased transportation costs, and shifted demand. Scarcity drove prices up. Energy and geopolitical crises. Rising oil, gas, and electricity prices increased costs across the economy. Loose monetary policy. Extremely low interest rates, massive relief programs, and high government spending increased money in circulation. More money chasing fewer goods is a classic inflation driver. Labor shortages and rising wages, skilled worker shortages forced companies to raise pay, increasing production costs passed on to consumers. Self-reinforcing expectations. Anticipated price rises encourage higher wages and preemptive price hikes by companies. Central bank responses. Higher interest rates make borrowing more expensive, cooling housing markets and spending, and slowing economic growth. History shows inflation is a wave. It rises, it falls, but it always leaves a mark. High inflation comes, but stability usually follows. Economies adapt, recover, and keep moving forward. Today's inflation is noticeably higher than it has been in recent decades, but still far below historic peaks like the oil crises of the 1970s. Moderate inflation can even signal a stabilizing economy, a sign that markets are functioning and growth continues, even if slower. In the end, inflation isn't just an abstract number. It's a story of money, supply, demand, and human behavior. The more we understand it, the better we can anticipate, respond, and thrive, even when prices go up. If you found this video interesting, check out the channel for more exciting videos about economic topics and stay updated. Next, Econary. Think wisely, evolve quickly, understand profoundly.